So then I'm like out of breath. Okay, so again, super excited to have Brittany here. She is a coach. Um, Brooke is her upline, but Britt, how long have you been a coach? Like 3, 4?
Yeah, it just was a 3-year mark. I joined Brooke back in 2012, but officially with her the second time around, 3 years.
Yay. And
It's crazy.
I think your 1-year wedding anniversary is coming up.
Yes.
She's moving, so she has lots on her plate.
Yeah. Wow.
Yay.
Yeah, that May
So
4th is our day.
so crazy. I remember I went to the Garth Brooks concert.
I know. Gosh,
I
when
know.
life was normal. Like we
Yeah,
could just go
when
do
life
stuff.
was normal. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Seriously.
Oh.
But yeah, Britt, just go do your thing, girlfriend. We're super excited to
Mhm.
have you here. And yeah, take it away.
Awesome. So I actually made slides because that helps me with like squirrel brain a little bit. But yeah, thank you, Nicole. Oh my gosh, when Nicole asked me to do this, I was like, really? You want me? What? And I think it's so easy to like kind of second guess your ability because you overthink things. And what I've been trying to do a lot more lately, you guys, and I've heard this, you're going to hear it again in this call, is referenced from a podcast I've been listening to quite a bit called The Guide Culture. And they do what's called stir the pot. So at any point where you can kind of feel like something is a little outside your comfort zone, lean into that. Really lean into that because that's how you're going to grow. That's how you're going to be able to serve more people. And I feel like that's also an opportunity for you to really surprise yourself, really, because it's like you then know and realize what you're capable of. So like a 1-minute Sparks Note version, just so you know who I am, like who's this girl with all the energy. So I got passionate with coaching. Like I was telling Nicole earlier, I joined back in 2012, kind of was a hobby coach for a while. Then Brooke and I both quit at the same time. Then we got back into it. So I guess I share that story. And at first I was so embarrassed to tell it because I was like, oh, I wish I could have that perfect startup story of like someone who fell in love with the products, who had a really big pain point and it was fulfilled by coaching. And all of a sudden I'm an elite coach. Like that's just not my story. Right. And so I am now passionate about that because you just have to own whatever it is that where you're at. Like I honestly like perhaps like if I'm comparing myself, maybe I'm not where I want to be 3 years in, but then it's like you could always start fresh and then be consistent from there and that on. And it's just making the decision, right? And so basically I'm a journalism major. Now I'm a producer for a lifestyle show in the Twin Cities. And it kind of just like this whole transition of why I was like, oh my gosh, I want to make this work is because it's the bigger vision. It's like really thinking, okay, do I want to have a life of, you know, a job where I just feel like I like, but am I like ridiculously over the moon, passionate, fulfilled every single day? And that's what coaching does. So until I was able to flip that switch, it really opened a lot of doors for me because it was just like I was so dedicated. I gotta really figure out if this is exactly what I want. So that's really what I wanted to share with you. Like I don't want to feel like, oh, I'm not successful or where I want to be right now. That's okay. Like it's a decision every single day to get to where you want to go. And you're going to learn in this call that you have to fall in love with the process so you can grow yourself consistently, but also create that thriving community that we all want, that you see. Okay, back to the topic for today. Let me see. Let me see if I can share my screen. Okay, here we go. I'm really excited about this. Like I finished it like 5 minutes ago, so hopefully it will work and I may stumble over my words, but you guys, you don't have to be perfect to be successful. Okay, let's see. Hopefully that's the end. Hold on. And I'll go through this. I want to be really respectful of your time. Can you guys see okay?
Yeah.
Oh no, her internet. Um,
She was cutting out for me quite a bit. I don't know if she was for anybody else for a little bit.
yeah, I just didn't know if it was my internet too. If my internet's so
Whoopsies.
iffy. There you are. I
Totally
hear
me.
you.
My bad, guys.
There you are.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Britt, like your face on the other.
Am I frozen still?
You no, like you're on here twice. On my
Oh,
side, yeah, but you're good, girl. Yeah.
oh man. Okay. Well, that's really crazy. I promise
You're-
it's going to be worth all the technical difficulties. Oh, no. Okay, good. Okay, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm not going to like share it because anytime I share it, it seems like it's been doing the problems.
Yeah, you're fine. Whatever you got to do.
Okay. Can you see it that way? Okay, cool. All right. Oh, cross your fingers. Okay, so we're gonna talk about community and culture, which is like a topic I'm obsessed with because I think that people don't realize what that they need this. They need this community, they need this culture so much now more than ever with things that are all closed. When they see you on your stories being consistent and sharing your story of this community that you're a part of, I think like I don't know if you guys were athletes in you know as you were growing up or in high school. I played soccer and I ran track, and being a part of a team was everything. And so that's why I just love this topic. So hopefully you can hear this okay. This is honestly 1 minute, but I wanted to share this with you because I think sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves in the beginning when we're starting something new. It's all of a sudden like, well, I'm a coach now, signed up with my challenge pack yesterday. I'm an expert. Like, that's not how this works. You know, you have to grow into the type of coach that you creep on. I know you creep on a coach that you love, that you're obsessed with. We all do. It's fine. But we can get there. But you can't get there until it's that daily practice, it's that daily habit. Because what we don't see is the beginning, the day one of that coach who started, that you look at and you scroll through their feed. You have this gift too. So I want you to hear this and really take it in. Does it not work? Okay.
And I really wish somebody had told this to me, is that all of us who do creative work, like, you know, we get into it, and we get into it because we have good taste. But it's like there's a gap that for the first couple of years that you're making stuff, what you're making isn't so good. Okay, it's not that great. It's trying to be good. It has ambition to be good, but it's not quite that good. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, your taste is still killer, and your taste is good enough that you can tell that what you're making is kind of a disappointment to you. You know what I mean? A lot of people never get past that phase. A lot of people at that point, they quit. And the thing I would just like say to you with all my heart is that most everybody I know who does interesting creative work, they went through a phase of years where they had really good taste. They could tell what they were making wasn't as good as they wanted it to be. They knew it felt short. It didn't have the special thing that we wanted it to have. And the thing I would say to you is everybody goes through that. And for you to go through it, if you're going through it right now, if you're just getting out of that phase, you got to know it's totally normal. And the most important possible thing you could do is do a lot of work. Do a huge volume of work. Put yourself on a deadline so that every week or every month, you know you're going to finish one story. Because it's only by actually going through a volume of work that you're actually going to catch up and close that gap. And the work you're making will be as good as your ambitions. In my case, like I took longer to figure out how to do this than anybody I've ever met. It takes a while. It's going to take you a while. It's normal to take a while, and you just have to fight your way through that. Okay.
Cool. I love that. Like, I honestly just heard that the other day. And it just was a good perspective of like, everyone has a beginning, everyone has a day one. And so while the goal is to create a thriving team culture, whatever your goals are, I mean, perhaps this is a side hustle thing, or maybe you want to go above and beyond and create a life of financial freedom and help others do the same. So it doesn't really matter what your goals are, but I think it's just really getting clear and giving yourself basically just that, giving yourself some grace to fail forward. Okay. So, next slide here. I feel like I wish I was a teacher. I have no, this is so out of my element here. Okay. So I love this saying because it's, for me, you guys, like, I'm learning this now. Okay. So I'm not the expert, but after like really, being consistent with like listening to these podcasts, really honing in on working on sales. Like, sales is not scary. Everything is sales. You're selling your kids to go to bed on time. You're selling your kids to eat their broccoli. Everything is sales. So I really want to get better at that. And we always think about like, how do I do that? How do I do that? Well, it's actually like be, then do, and then you have what you want. So it's all about being first. And we're going to get to that. Then we're going to talk about like creating content, not waiting for the perfect time, and creating a thriving community now, and also acting as the coach that you want to be so you can attract that person now. And then of course, like leaning in, like again, leaning in now more than ever with just the climate that we're in and sharing about it. Like, I think repetition, we may feel like we're being annoying, but when you lean in and you share constantly about the community that you're a part of, Nicole's incredible team that you're on, sharing that, like, people want to be a part of that because it's that FOMO. It's like, wait, what are you doing? Oh my God, like, I want that too. So, we'll start with being first. So this is something that I think Keith Callahan talks a lot about too. It's like being that person that you can grow into. And it all starts from the inside out. And I loved the National Wake Up Call. I think it was last week, how Morgan Rieger talked about, if you can figure out, I don't know if you can see me. If not, sorry, if this is not going to make sense. But from here up and get your mind right, then the rest will just fall into place. So how can we get here up great so we can start attracting the people who we want to help in a very professional way? And so the first thing, like I said earlier, it's first you have to focus on being the right person. Become obsessed with your growth journey. How often is it that we want to get from A to Z like now? Like, can it happen yesterday? The thing is, the problem with that though, what I've learned throughout these 3 years is that you're going to face these obstacles for a reason, so then you can in turn share that with your team and guide them. That's what a leader does, right? They're just a couple steps before with the light on and guiding the way and going through the mess just so they can take those experiences, take those obstacles, and then share what they learned. That's all what it is. So we all want that next training, right? We're looking for the how. And the moment I shift my mindset on being, how can that, like, keep telling it again, being the right person, it just, and we're going to get into this because it's like, what do you mean by that? Being, like being and growing. So basically you want to become the person that you're looking for is looking for, right? So you're going to be that step ahead. And I'm just going to say this because I feel like perhaps if you're like me, immediately you're starting to second guess yourself. And I want you to stop right there. Okay. Because we all have that limiting belief in our minds. Like, oh, well, Britt, like, who am I to think I can help Sally when I am going through a bunch of crap right now? And the thing is like, your mess is also your message. So it's like that perfection is like, guys, like you don't have to be perfect. Did you see the hot mess? Like just what happened 5 minutes ago when I was trying to get this slide going? Like I have a weight holding up my lamp, you know? So it's just like, we're so addicted to that perfectionistic, perfect circumstance. I'm going to lose 10 pounds, but it's not like that at all. If you are in alignment with the goals that you have, in the habits that you're creating, you're going to be a magnet to other people, because I'm just going to be honest, like the people you're following, chances are it's because they're growing themselves, right? They're up early. They have a time lapse going. They're writing in their gratitude journal. They're looking at their affirmation card. You got this. Like they're doing the work, the mundane daily work that is going to get them to where they want to go. And the biggest thing is they're one, sharing about it, and they're two, it's consistent. It's not when you feel like it, because believe me, I am not the queen of consistency. And because of that, I've struggled. But when I shift my mindset, it's like, oh, this is something we have to do every day. Okay, get it now. So just give yourself some grace, because for whatever reason, I had this little pit in my stomach that I needed to share that with you, as far as like, you do have something valuable to offer regardless of where you are in your journey. You don't have to be the expert. You just have to prove that it's helping you, and then it can help someone too. So let me just look through this here quick. The biggest thing is like, who are you becoming every single day? That's your first step. Being, how are you growing into the person that you want to become, right? So let's just say, for an example, if you want to be a 5-star elite coach with a thriving team, is that person going to skip their workout? Is that person going to skip taking their shake? Is that person going to perhaps maybe send 5 invites? Now, if your goal isn't aligned with a 5-star elite, then no problem. Like you have to do what feels good, but maybe stretch yourself just a little bit. But if it is, then you just have to look about your daily habits. Am I growing into that person I want to come? And am I being that person by those daily behaviors? Making sense so far? Awesome. Okay, I'm obsessed with this podcast. But again, the guy culture, so good. So Catherine on the right, basically just in a nutshell, I'm not so sure if she's in it anymore. She was a consultant for Rodan and Fields, and then got on the guy culture staff. Macy, I believe, used to be a Beachbody coach, but then her dad in the middle has 30 years of experience in sales with insurance. And she basically learned from him for over 2 years, his incredible like system of being like an expert with sales. And the value that they give, especially during this time, is like unmatched. Like they are going all in with just helping people so much, especially during this COVID time. And I wanted to share them because I've been learning all this stuff that you see that I'm trying to teach is like what I've been learning from them too. So when you focus on being the right person, you will start to do the right things. And you have to remember, like, just check yourself. Like, you get out of life what you expect to get. So I don't know about you, but sometimes my mindset sucks. Like that's why I'm like mindset growth, personal development is so important. And when I just have that little bit of check, like that little gut check, like, did I do PD today? No. Oh, that makes sense then. It's all in alignment, right? So it's just, I think you have to remember to not be so hard on yourself, but just know that this is, again, a process that you have to be patient with to get the team culture that you want, to accomplish the goals you want with coaching. And it comes in those behind the scenes daily activities that we don't see on people's highlight reel. So again, like, are you in alignment with your daily habits to get to what you want? The next thing I wanted to share this with you, perhaps maybe write this down or remember it, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do. This is the episode that gave me like goosebumps. And I thought, I'm just going to share that with them versus try to take all of Catherine's nuggets and give that to you. It's who your competition really is. And she goes in depth of what you can do now and talk about really our competition is like, I'm sure you guys know, but ourselves and the value that we're giving every single day. So please, like, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I don't just like, I share what I'm listening to, but not to this extreme. So this is definitely something that you want to put on your library like this week. Okay. So again, going back to just like this process, when Nicole asked me like, let's talk about community and culture, I love that topic, but I think again, it's about who am I to attract more of me? Like if you don't want to attract more of you, that's where you have to start, right? Because it's how can you create this thriving community and culture if you're not like growing yourself? So it's very simple. Like what I'm sharing with you, perhaps you already know, but maybe if it's in a different nugget, like it's going to sink in. So going back to alignment. So if you're out of alignment, you just want to get there, you know exactly what you want and you're frustrated. Believe me, I've been frustrated a lot, but that only creates pressure and lack of enthusiasm. And when you're showing up with that mindset, you're almost going to repel people, right? Because you're sort of playing off like, this is stressful. Like, I don't know who I'm helping. And you're just not really clear. So I think it's just super important to take that time and get so clear on who you're trying to help, who you want to become, what your goals are in this business, your vision that you want to create. And then you do the basics, the fundamentals, which are the vital behaviors, okay? So the vital behaviors will make sense when you get this figured out. Because if you don't know why you're working so hard and, you know, you're getting up at 5 a.m. and you have no idea, that's tough to stay consistent with, right? So anyway, I was going to do a sports analogy, but I'll save that. You get it. So the true joy is the growth and the experience of the process. I'm trying to really hit that home because perhaps I'm like one of you that wanted to rush that. And that's why I was doing a lot of ups and downs, and I was judging myself and comparing myself to other coaches who saw success far before I did. But here are the factors. 1, they didn't experience doubt. 2, they were incredibly consistent and they 10x their efforts. So I'm sure you've heard Nicole say this before or somewhere, maybe on the National Wake Up Call. Like this business doesn't play favorites, right? So knowing that, you get to, it's all in your control. That's another reason why I'm in love with this whole business model and this community, because I'm someone, it's like a 2% raise, right? Every year, good job, great job, but here's 50 cents. Like, and I'm not trying to be a smart ass. Sorry, I swore. But like, that's the reality. That's the reality. So I'm like, what is something I can work really hard for and sacrifice a couple of years of my life to get to where I want to go? Lastly, before I move on, like you have to push through that resistance. So your natural tendency, perhaps some days more than others, you're going to feel some resistance to this mundane work. But it's not like when people ask, like, what was the one thing that made you successful, that made you get that thriving team culture and hit all of your goals in coaching? It's not just one thing. It's 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 plus listening to this podcast, plus, you know, taking time for your business and being on a call and diving deep into your personal development and really getting confident in who you are, what you're offering, and sending 20 invites, like going big, you know, it's all of the things. It's not just one thing. So push through that resistance to figure out what you're excited about, what you enjoy, and doing the basics and the fundamentals. So this is really cool. I love this. I again heard this on the podcast. No one will ask you to add value to their life if you're not adding value to your own. So if you're struggling, water break, if you're struggling to like, you know, talk about certain things or content, that perhaps just means you have to really hone in on your growth journey. And like, and you probably think you're being repetitive, but it says so often that people need to hear certain things 7 or 8 times. And then they're going to look to you as like, just like that expert in their field because you're being so confident in the message that you're sharing. So again, are you showing up for yourself? Okay, so this is I love this quote. So your competition is your ability to provide value, clarity, and alignment for your customer. We're going to break that down. But again, your competition is your ability to provide value, clarity, alignment for your customer. And the reason, because you might be thinking, Britt, what does this have to do with team culture? I'm going back to the beginning. It's who you become to attract more people that are passionate about wanting to grow themselves. Because let me tell you what you don't want to do. You don't want to try to drag someone who's not ready yet. Okay, preach, right? That's not fun. I've done that. It's not fun. And then you think, well, I'm a terrible coach. Then you think that, like you get in your mind because they're not showing up and they're not checking in with their workouts. But let me tell you, you can do everything to give the resources and everything to the people you're trying to help, but ultimately it's up to them, right? You can only do so much, so give yourself some grace. Okay, so let's break this down. Value. We hear that thrown out a lot. Are you adding value? Like, well, what value are you bringing? It's more than just a free group, right? It's showing up daily that you're passionate about, right? If it doesn't feel in alignment with what you, like perhaps you hate cooking, okay? Let's just say you hate it. I don't want you to tomorrow to be like, all right, I'm starting a cooking show on my IGTV because it's value. Like, that's not going to feel right. But if you just finished the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins and it's helped you get up an hour early, that's value. Because then you can share what you learned from that book and you're passionate and you have enthusiasm about what you're speaking about, right? So some of these things, it's like no duh, but I think it's so important still to break that down and hear it. So what is useful information? Okay, clarity, right? Okay, when people say, what do you do as a coach? I help people. I want you to really dig deeper, okay? This is your homework assignment to get a clarity statement in a niche of who you're trying to help, right? You have to get specific on who you're helping and how you're helping them. And I say that because this is what helped me. Everything I'm sharing with you guys has helped me so much feel really confident in my message and know what I want to talk about. So for example, rather than say, I like to help moms, this is something I heard on the podcast. I'm going to give credit to where I heard it. I help moms who need more efficient exercises while homeschooling multiple kids. Like immediately you're going to be in someone's head, right? Like if someone's scrolling or listening to your stories, it's like, whoa, like I need that. How much more powerful is a statement like that versus I like to help moms? There's nothing wrong with either, but I think the more clear and specific you get, the better your message will be heard and the more confident you will be in that message. And then you'll get to, in turn, be a magnet for more people you can serve. One other thing is to tell success stories. Pretty simple, right? But and this is something you guys, I'm teaching, so I too can get better at, because a lot of this was like gut check for me. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm typing this, but have I been doing that? And I think it's so important because people perhaps oh yeah, Sarah's a Beachbody coach and I follow her, but if you were to pop on your stories and just be like, guys, I need to tell you about this girl, Melanie. She joined me reluctantly a year ago, but since then she's accomplished XYZ, and talk about their pain points and what they've accomplished, right? You could even talk about your story, where you are, where you were to where you are now. So being so repetitive, that's not a bad thing. Repetition is king because people need to hear your message over and over and over. And when they're finally ready, they'll know who to go to because you've been so good about showing up and being consistent with what you're excited to offer. I love this quote because sometimes, again, I don't know if you're like me, but I've had a huge problem with comparing myself. And I think it's just like, listen, there are 400,000 coaches and that number is only going to get bigger, right? So we can kind of have our own pity party and be like, but I'm not Kate Schultes. I love the girl. Believe me, she's amazing. But it's like, she saw success right away, right? And so I could easily just like get so worked up and in my own way and just be like, oh my God, she has an amazing culture. But what's so cool about this, you guys, is that you are the CEO. You are your own boss. So if you see someone reflecting what you want, you can just do exactly what they did. And she hustled, right? Nicole hustles. Like, just, you have an incredible example, an incredible leader of paving the way to show you what's possible. But you have to remember that in order to get the people you want to attract on your team, you have to be so confident. And that comes from the learning, right? The everyday showing up, doing the things that are boring, but are eventually going to help you with your confidence to remember, like, you are your own superpower. It's not about the algorithm. It's not about a really awesome ad that took off. It's not about, I don't know. I mean, I could keep going, but you get it. Okay. So I just liked this quote, but it's at any point, so you can rise up from anything. You can completely recreate yourself. Nothing is permanent. You are not stuck, right? You have choices. You are allowed to recreate yourself, you guys. It takes time, but nothing, like, you don't just sign up, become an expert leader, and have a thriving team culture, right? It's these baby steps that you do behind the scenes that are going to give you so much clarity in your business, but also the confidence. And because you are being so diligent and doing that work, you are going to be able to tell your team in the future exactly what you did to get to where you are and where you want to go. I don't know if there you guys are friends of or fans of Friends, but I love the episode where he's like, pivot, right? Now more than ever, we need to pivot. So ask yourself, like, if you're like thinking, you're like, okay, this is good, like I'm learning, like this is good nuggets, like things that you can apply now to your business. And even after this call, is like, what do I need right now? How am I showing up right now? What do my people need, right? More content, more value, more attention. So I think it's like being super aware of the situation we're in and not feeling guilty. Like, gosh, we saw the stats, like now more than ever, people are leaning into Beachbody because we have this total solution. So it's not about like, oh, these are hard times. Totally sympathize with anyone who's struggling. I get it. But like, we also have to remember that this is still a gift that you can offer so much value and ways beyond a challenge pack. But maybe that would look like offering a call, offering a one-on-one call, like rather than being someone who is like offering the same thing that they did, a couple months ago. Maybe this is a time where you can get really creative with your offerings in a challenge pack, but then, offer in addition to, what other ways can you offer more value? So I stole this from your Instagram, Nicole, and then Brent's too, but like we're in a Beachbody bubble. I'm just going to say it. So it's just like, we think that a lot of people know what we do. We drink a shake, like we have this community, but I think that like from the outside world, they don't understand it. And so the more you can talk about it, the more you can share your excitement and your enthusiasm and be confident and say, here's where I was, here's where I'm now, and here's why I love and I'm obsessed with this community because it's helped me how. So I think that like, how has it changed your life? What struggles have you been able to overcome? Lean into that passion. Now, you might be thinking, well, Britt, like I have a team of 5, like, which is amazing. That's awesome. But like, I only have a team of 2. Share that, but also you have Nicole's team. You have the bod squad. Like, you can go up as much as you want to share what you are a part of, right? It's not just you're not alone in this business. Okay. So just share what your team is doing. And honestly, I saw Bryn's picture the other day. I was going to shout her out. I'm not her personally sponsored coach. she achieved 1 star, I want to be like, oh my God, great job. Like, I'm going to post that on my stories. It doesn't matter. I'm not her PS coach, but she's still on our team. So it's just like, you can share successes from anyone, right? Like even if they're not on, your personally sponsored team, it's a whole group, right? Okay, how are we doing on time? Do we have like 5 more minutes at least? Okay.
Yeah, you do your thing, girl. You're doing, and this is so awesome. I love
Yay!
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Love it. Okay, so I just learned this last week and I was like obsessed with it. And so I'm going to try my best to teach it. If you have questions, no problem. I have all night. But I wanted to talk about this because my biggest thing is like giving you action that you can do that will in turn help you create the team you want, the culture you want, and the goals that you want to accomplish. So a lot of it also comes with content. And I don't know about you, but like for me, that is something I struggled with. And I'm still obsessed with learning the process so I can get more clear with who I'm trying to talk to. And I'm going to be honest, you guys, like I'm a journalism major. I love words. I love writing. But there are times when I've had writer's block or like, who am I trying to help? And you get so frustrated, but it's perhaps like you just have to get more clear with who you're trying to help. So one thing that is an exercise that you can do is really figuring out what your people want, right? How can you tailor your content to know exactly that this is something? I did a poll, you did your market research, so you know exactly what your people want. And again, perhaps you've heard about this, but I still hope you get one nugget out of this entire thing. So really take time to brainstorm. Okay, what is your ideal client posting? Are they posting memes? Are they posting like their favorite show they like to watch on Netflix? Like really getting that clear of what they're posting about. What posts do they like to reshare? And then what are they struggling with? And number 3 is what I want to try to help you with. And this is something I'm still doing. I'm in this Instagram guide culture mastermind, and they taught this last week, and I was like, this is too good. My mind like blew up because I was like, this is so awesome. Because our natural tendency is to perhaps post this on our Facebook or share a story and be like, hey y'all, like, what are you struggling with? And that's it. And that's just so vague. And chances are, if you do this, you'll have a lot more success with figuring out what people, what their issues are, because then you get to be the solution. Then you get to provide them with value in the solution, because now more than ever, people just want to make sure they can trust you, right? Okay, so this is basically what you can do with your Insta stories. This seems a little overcomplicated, but I'm going to break it down. Hopefully it will make sense. But like, it's so easy to get in your stories. This one thing, it's called storyboarding. And it's really important to be very intentional with these. Like the next time you want to do like a storyboard, really plan out what you want to do. On a normal given day, you would do you, girl. Like, it's not about being perfect on your stories, but when you're trying to figure out what your audience wants, we're going to offer them value first, and then we're going to ask. Because for me, I would always just ask, like, what can I help with? Do you want motivation tips? Do you want food tips? And I would respond for them. But now it's kind of like we're tailoring it, and we're being so intentional with our stories that we can kind of figure out what they're struggling with after we provide them with value, because they're so intrigued. So the qualifier. So chances are people are following you for a lot of different reasons. Maybe you're a mom and you have like the best ideas for snacks for your kids, and that's the only reason why they follow you. Or maybe they love for your fitness, or maybe they love it because you do like a nighttime skin ritual and they just think it's so awesome. So there's a lot of reasons why people are following you and watching on your stories, even though you invite them several times and they don't get back to you. Don't get it. I don't get it. But they will. We've all been there. Okay, so you're going to qualify. So you're going to say in one story, hey guys, like, I am going to explain to you blank, blank, blank what I'm talking about. And then your intro, like you see in this example. So you're going to qualify your message, and then you're going to find out, are you struggling with blank or blank? So that by doing that, you're qualifying your message by allowing people to know, oh, okay, Nicole's going to talk about skincare products. I can either keep watching or flip through. And believe me, it's okay if they flip through. You only want the people that are interested. That's a good thing. You want to repel people. That's a good thing. Okay. So then your intro. So you're going to say in your statement, 15 seconds, right? Very simple. Like, okay, you guys, stick around if you're super interested in skincare, because I'm going to show you my top 3 skincare products that have been a complete game changer. Okay, so now it's like, oh my gosh, they're offering value. So then the next slide is basically you showing what it is. It's this vitamin C serum. It's amazing. Here's why I love it. And it helps you with this. Now, obviously, you can tailor the content. If you don't care about skincare, it can be your top 3 personal development books. It can be your top 3 podcasts. Find out what you're passionate about and share that. And go from there. Figure out why people are following you. So you're going to do that 3 times at least. Maybe if you have a 4th, great. Share that too. So after you qualified your message, you gave an intro, and now you gave 3 bullet points of certain things that people can like take away and use, at a later time, then you're going to ask. You're going to just do a poll, right? Simple, very clear. So what are you interested in most, products or tutorials? This is going to be so helpful. And even if you get 2 people to respond, that's better. And if you don't get anyone to respond, keep doing it. Eventually, these storyboards will help, and people will just like, all you need is like 4 people to respond. That's all. So don't put any pressure on yourself. Okay, so once you figure out what are you mostly interested in, products or tutorial, then question 2, what are your biggest skincare concerns, acne or other? Then your question 3, if you answered other, what are you struggling most with? So the reason why this is so important is because you're going to get all of this data, right? And you're going to figure out, okay, 3 people said that they loved these products that I've been showing. So that's just going to give you more, really more in your toolbox to continue to offer what people are looking for. And what happens is, when you deliver and when you 10x that, people are going to share that. They're going to share it in their stories. It's shareable content, and that helps just you grow your audience and also know that what you're offering is what your audience wants. So you should never be like guessing. Like you should never like be blinded by, well, I think that they want this Shakeology bar recipe. Maybe everyone that follows you hates chocolate. Like that's extreme, but like, you know what I mean? So it's just getting so specific. Okay. Finally, I just love these quotes. Like this is especially on the right, what else started in your living room? Spanx. But sure, my business is cute, right? So it's just remembering, you guys, like having that posture of someone who is just so confident, because what we do have is a gift, right? Like you have to get comfortable with writing when no one is reading, creating when no one is consuming, putting in the hours when no one is clapping, because it's that consistency that over time is going to grow your confidence. So I was someone, in wrapping this up here, I was someone who literally was like trying so hard to find the solution. Why am I struggling? Like, what can I do better? And I would binge on like YouTube videos of coaches like in their team calls, and I would watch that over and over. But the difference is just that action, right? So it's you're doing your vitals, and then you can do the fun stuff, which for me is learning. I love learning, but the next course isn't going to build my business. It's those daily actions that I do where it's like, what did you do to achieve this success? It's a bunch of little things that over time compound into creating the team, the culture, and the community that you overall want. that sound good? That's all I got.
Oh, that was so good. Seriously. I
Yay!
loved the like tangible. And I know Allie had commented, can you just send me the slides, Britt? And then I can
Yes.
just put those, Allie, like when I put the recording, I'll just put it in like the comment section. That'd be
Totally.
super great.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that was helpful. I'm like,
Seriously. No. And I
Yes.
loved, what was the podcast again?
yes, it's called The Guide Culture. I just like stumbled on it and it's just been so helpful. And they're just all about like value and making sales less scary. Cause I think that so often, especially like in these businesses that we're in, it's kind of like that's an objection that we get. So it's just,
Yeah.
there is a way to be professional and confident in what you're giving, and it's just a process. Like I really wanted to make sure I hit home because like we put so much pressure on ourselves to be a certain way when it's like that happens, the growth happens in the day-to-day grind, not like when we want it to.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Do you have a couple minutes for questions?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love Q&A.
Okay. So what questions does everyone have? What spoke to you?
I think maybe the clarity statement. Like that's something like I don't know, maybe some more like suggestions around that.
Yes. What's your name? Rachel.
Rachel. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you. You were so great.
Oh, absolutely. It was so fun. Who are you trying to help? So if I were to ask you like who is like your ideal client, who would that be?
I guess like something I've been thinking about, I guess, is like teachers and brides.
Oh.
Does that make sense? Is that like
Are you getting married?
yeah, I was, and then it's postponed now, but that's okay.
Oh my gosh, when was it?
July 2nd.
July.
Yeah, and there's just like a lot of girls I know like on my feed, so I tried to go on that. Like I know a lot of teachers, so that was something like Nicole and I were talking about today, because like we said how like as teachers right now there's no extra income. There's only your salary. Like we're so used to like tutoring and doing so much work. So
Wow.
like there's a ton of brides and there's all these canceled weddings. So if anybody's feeling like me, I'm like, yeah, I want to go rack up like another 50 grand now.
Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine. But like your story is like, oh, now more than ever. Have you been sharing that quite a bit? Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you love to help brides and teachers. I'm sorry, did I hear that correctly? Brides and
Yeah. I guess that's like my population, right? Like, 'cause,
that's
not
like your
all of
ideal
it,
client.
Yeah, I like kids, but I don't have a kid, so I wouldn't really know
I get
how
that.
to offer advice. But
Yes.
yeah.
And if in like just like a couple words, like what if you could like help them in a couple, like what does helping mean? Like is it their mindset? Is it weight loss? Is it confidence? Like helping is so, and so I think what's like the first thing that comes to your mind?
Mindset.
Mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with that?
I wouldn't say. I would say I improved like drastically. I would say that's something I always had. It's just like now more than ever like enlightened me. Like I was just telling Nicole today, like I feel like back a few years ago, like I was like all about that, and then I kind of like plateaued, and now it's like back, like I feel it again. I'm like, okay, there I am, like I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have such this is awesome, and I want to oh gosh, I feel like especially now with what you're going through as a teacher, as like a bride that had to cancel her wedding because of this incredible what we're in, sharing that daily, and it's like what has helped you, like going, okay, here's what I've had to do, here's what's helping me. And it can be offering value outside of Beachbody, like the resources, like when you postpone your wedding, like what was that process like?
Okay.
For
I like
example,
that.
yeah. So it's just really like getting clear. God, there's so much. I want to like, I feel like I could spend a lot of time on this, but like, for example, I'm someone who was like addicted to busy, and also but I would get so stressed. So like one clarifying statement I did was like helping women beat burnout, squash self-doubt, and prioritize self-care. So it's just like, what is the pain point, and then what's the solution? So does that kind of help? So I like getting so clear on what you were saying earlier, like I want to help brides and teachers with their mindset. I would still take time to, what is mindset? To me, it's like you want to be clever, but also clear in your messaging, because you only have 5 seconds to get people's attention. So it's like, okay, Rachel wants to help me with my mindset. I don't know. They don't know what they don't know.
Right,
So
right.
I would work on, does that help a little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely. No,
And I can send resources to Nicole too. That's helped me to really get clear on that clarity statement. Because then you know how to tailor all of your content.
Yeah,
But
I love that.
You have you're in it, girl. You got to talk about that.
Yeah,
That is
for
crazy.
real. I know. I think we forget sometimes that like we are in it. Like, you know, just like you said, be out of Beachbody and just talk about like, all right, hey, this is what I had to do. These vendors were so great. Like I had to call them, and like when I tell you that they were just so nice to me, and they're like, we'll do whatever you want. Like, you know, they were just wonderful. So
I think that's how you build that bridge, right? Like you have this solution of coaching Beachbody, you know, how you've been able to create an income, even though finances have been tight because of jobs and stuff. But it's just like, you have this that a bride can like, oh my gosh, Rachel, I relate to you because I've been through that, or I'm going through that. You're going to offer her value. But then down the road, after she builds that trust with you, a month later, wait, you do what? Like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So it doesn't have to be just Beachbody all the time. Like I would lean into what you're going through now more than ever, and hone in and 10x the value on that too, because you're going to build a bigger audience with people you relate to.
I love that. Love that. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does anyone else have questions for Brittany?
Look into the chat. Oh, that's so fun. I didn't get to see the chat. I'm looking through it. Be, then do.
Yeah. This was so great, Brittany. Thank you so much.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite. 100%. Love it. Hang in there, guys. We're all in this together. Show people, be consistent. You're not annoying. The right person. It's good that you're repelling people, because you're going to attract more of the people that want what you have to offer. So don't be scared about that. Like, you're not here to please everyone. Like, there's no salesperson out there that everyone loves. Like, it's just not.
Absolutely. Okay, before we hop off, I want to get a picture.
Yes, absolutely.
I always forget. I'm trying to get better about that. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Yay. Awesome. Thank you so much. It was so good seeing everyone.
Good to see you guys.
Yay. Have a good night.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. You're welcome.